So anyways, point being is that like the group itself never went underground, but like Leonard Peltier went, you know, kind of on the lam because of charges regarding like when those FBI officers were beating the hell out of him. And anyways, he never went to trial about that. He was kind of skipped town. Some of them went kind of on the lam after the Custer riots, you know, when they were protesting there, because they actually burnt down a courthouse during those riots and kind of did battle with some cops and things like that. So there were a lot of indictments about that, and like Dennis Banks and a bunch of others went underground for a period of time for that. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. So just individuals related to specific cases on a few occasions went underground, but for the most part they stayed fairly visible and active. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay, Sean Rose?
Pass. Good job. Pass.
All right, any additional questions?
Do you know if the Iroquois tribe is also part, if any members of the Iroquois Nation are also part of the A.I.M or ever have been part of the A.I.M?
I'm sure they are, as none of the more famous members are specifically from tribes of the Iroquois League.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because it's been my understanding that the Iroquois is dealt with a little bit differently as far as land goes and things like that, because the Iroquois is the only nation that actually owns the land outright, rather than having sold it to the government and the government parcel it back to them. Or at least this is my understanding that I received after talking to someone who grew up on an Iroquois reservation.
Yeah, well, the Iroquois League is actually made up of 5, 6 other nations, and so that might be true of some of them. I can't say for sure. I know the Seneca are one of those tribes, and the Seneca are actually at this point reservationless, because basically during the days of termination, the government was building a dam which would then submerge their reservation, and the government told the tribe that, hey, we're only going to pay you for the damages to this if you accept the termination of your tribe, and which basically they were forced to do. So yeah, so I'm not sure as far as the other ones, but I mean, there's one example. Jacob?
Yeah, it seemed to me like this is a really bloody, violent sort of thing that, at least if it hits people's attention, that people wouldn't really tolerate for the sake of their own feel-goods, your average sort of American. So I guess my question that I'm asking is now the oppression of various indigenous and Indian peoples administrative rather than more violent, or is that sort of thing still going on?
Well, the violence that the FBI and the BIA brought out against members of A.I.M was, it seems like, in direct proportion to the militancy of A.I.M. Like, in other words, they felt threatened by A.I.M as they did by all these other groups at the time, by the Black Panthers, the SDS, and all those kind of things. So yeah, I would say that as far as racism against Indians go today, or like the suppression of Indians go, it would have to be more of an administrative thing than outright we're killing these people by shooting them in the back of the head.
Right, I mean, which is awful still, but like, I could equally see it being something that just nobody talks about. That's why I ask.
Yeah, well, I'm not familiar with any extremely recent cases of, the government having executed any Indians. I mean, of course, Peltier is still in jail in Canada during what's called the Oka crisis, where the Mohawk Indians defended their land from being turned into a luxury home and golf course area. I think one Mohawk man was shot during that confrontation. I mean, that was like the Canadian police and everything was called in on that one, so that got pretty heated there.
Why does this remind me of Israel and Gaza?
Because it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing.
I said luxury homes and just something went off in my head.
Could you talk a little bit about the current status of A.I.M, especially in regards to the Ground Council of A.I.M and the autonomous A.I.M chapters?
Yeah. So there's right now basically as of about 1993 and the beginnings of that were into the 80s, A.I.M split into, well, depending on who you ask, it's split. There's the Grand Governing Council, which consists of the Belcourt family, Clyde, Vernon, etc., and Dennis Banks, that's out of Minneapolis. Then there's also the autonomous chapters, which consist of Russell Means, as well as Ward Churchill in Denver, and a few others like that. Basically, the autonomous chapters say that we're accusing the Belcourts and things of exercising, to being too authoritarian, so they form these autonomous chapters. The Belcourts cited various things about Russell Means. There's been some accusations that he was engaged in some fraud and things like that. But in addition to that, they also was a slight ideological split with regard to the Sandinista Mosquito Indian conflict in Nicaragua, in which various persons such as Russell Means and Ward Churchill supported the Mosquito Indians against the Sandinista, the new revolutionary Sandinista government, for various reasons. So, yeah, so basically that's the state of things now. There's the autonomous chapters, which there's a few of those, and then there's the Minneapolis branch.